For the launch of season 2, I would like to introduce Adam, a versatile and passionate creative based in Canada, known for his captivating illustrations, witty humour, and content creation. With a key eye of detail and love for storytelling, Adam loves to bring narratives to life through their artwork and visual storytelling. Outside of their creative pursuits, Adam is known for their warm personality and collaborative spirit. Whether that's collaborating with fellow artists or connecting with their audience, they value authenticity and genuine connections, making them a cherished member of the creative community.
That's so kind.
I just,
I didn't even send that into him. He just made that himself.
yeah, I was like, because I wanted to like hype you up, you know, like I've known you now for like it's almost a year.
I would say so.
Um, and in that, I guess in that short time frame, I've kind of learned a lot about you, and we've worked on things together, and I've been invited into your space because we've worked together, and like I understand like your visions and in terms of like the message you're trying to come across, and in terms of your work. That's my like heartfelt response to what I've felt in the time that I've known you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And pretty accurate, I would say.
I would say so as well. I say most people as well. Like as I've said to you before, like most people like you, Adam. Like there's, you know, I haven't.
Ah.
You're like one of few people who are just are some of the nicest people in the world.
Well, thank you, man. I feel the same way about you.
Thank you so much.
Definitely one of a kind.
Start off with some like non-detailed questions, but like, are you able to share a little bit about yourself and your background for our listeners who may not be familiar with you?
Yeah. So, well, hello everyone of the podcast listening community. Uh oh, this is going to be weird. You're going to get like full Adam right now.
Let's do it.
My name's Adam, but I guess online I am Mindslime. I am a content creator of both art and uh crappy video gameplay. Uh yeah, I don't know. I guess I first got my start doing art in terms of creative things, and I've been drawing since I don't know, before I can remember. My dad was a really or still is a very talented artist, so I kind of picked that off of him. And my drawings were nothing good as a kid. Like, you know how you see those comparisons of like, this is how I was when I was 7, this is what I'm like when I'm 13, and the 7-year-old drawing is still incredibly good. That wasn't me. I just enjoyed drawing. That's all it was. I wasn't good at it. I just enjoyed doing it. And I guess over time, through that love and enjoyment of just like doing something, I got better and kind of developed more of a vision of the kinds of things that I wanted to draw. And also, like growing up, I had like I would say I'm a pretty imaginative, creative person. I just never had the tools and techniques to be able to put that down on paper. So that was another thing that I struggled with, because I wanted to put down on paper what I could think of, but just couldn't do it. But that just happens over time, and I finally got to a place where the things I think of can actually come to life, and that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, and I think that like that journey, because you're essentially finding yourself within that, and you've kind of established your position. You've mind slime. That's you've like established that brand within yourself, which is also like it's a sense of identity, um, which I personally find really really interesting. It's like the I have a few questions later on in regard to like specifics of content creation, um, but one thing I wanted to ask you was because I know we spoke about this before, but I know correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like your first official interview within like I don't know, like within a podcast? I know you had done some podcast stuff before, so I just wondered, like, what do you hope listeners will take away from our conversation today?
Um, I don't know. I don't know if I want anyone to take away anything like incredibly special. Like I assume we'll be probably diving into some like fairly deep questions, but I don't expect anyone to be like, oh, he's so down to earth or he's so in like inspiring or like I look up to him. I don't know. If people think like he's a cool guy or he's nice, that's totally cool with me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be anything special. I want you to like me.
No, no, I think like in general, like your I don't know your mantra or your motto in all the time I've known you. That's kind of like you've said exactly what you've just said in different ways. So like I respect that as a creative individual and as a human being. So um, okay, let's just jump right into it then. So I'm just interested about going back to the journey. Um, can you share with us your journey into the world of illustration and content creation, and what initially sparked your interest, and how did you like first get started? Going back to your like earliest memories.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess earliest memories would be like my art classes in school. The thing is like we did a lot of painting, and that's I learned from a very very young age. I am awful at painting, and I don't like it. I I will never understand. I have good interpretation of like color palette, but in terms of painting, I could never be able to get the certain color values that I wanted, and I could never properly like bring to life the things I was trying to in painting. So painting was absolutely never my jam, but I did it a lot, unfortunately. I learned a lot of traditional art. So like we did a lot of charcoal drawings as well. We did pastel drawings, watercolor. Watercolor is not too bad. I don't mind watercolor. It's better than actual painting, but still not
Yeah.
amazing. So I through that I couldn't really like develop the certain skills and techniques that I wanted. So outside of art class, I just drew and doodled a lot and did that for a really really long time.
Was this
I
before like like if we talk about like Instagram, your Instagram platform, was that like when did you start like posting stuff, like putting your work out there?
I probably actually started posting things and putting my work out there around
Yeah.
COVID, or maybe even a little bit before that.
And what was your like initial thought process of wanting to do that? Because it's a hard thing to do, especially
So
when you're like it's
yeah,
your own piece of work, putting it out there to the public.
it was honestly just me discovering that digital art was even a thing. Like I knew that it was a thing, but I never thought of it as something that I could do. So there's this really really awesome content creator, Kick the PJ, and he does like really really cool, fun, and like interesting creative art. He like makes his own like original characters. He'll mash up like certain other characters from other things into a drawing like just for fun, and he does that digitally. So when I discovered that he did that, I thought I could do that. Like that looks really cool. It seems like a good way to like get better at drawing as well. So I already had my Adobe accounts because at that point I was in university and I was doing like photography and stuff. we can touch on that later on. That's just like a side point. Like I had the Adobe programs because of that. And then I got this really, really big, but also very bad Wacom tablet. Sorry, Wacom. Um, but it was really bad. It was a separate, it was just the pad. There's no screen on it that I could draw on. So I would connect it to my 2015 MacBook laptop and run Illustrator on there and draw on the Wacom tablet. And it was okay. It wasn't awful, but it got me
Yeah,
started. It was like the right foot forward to like getting to where I am now, because that's how I discovered digital art, and that's how I started getting better. So it was kind of, yeah, like it basically like my discovery of digital art and like wanting to do that kind of put me forward to putting my art out there and like thinking like, oh, there's a lot of artists on Instagram that I respect, like maybe I could put my art out there and become someone that like other people respect
yeah.
as well.
And do you feel like in terms of like the like being able to like post things digitally and I guess putting your work out there in that sense? Because obviously we did grow up during a time where we weren't able to do that back in the day. So in terms of like the digital transformation, how do you feel that being able to post your work online has helped to like how has that helped you like personally and how has that helped you professionally?
It does make me happy to like see the interaction and see people just like what I do. Like that's all I really want, is for people to see it and be like, that's cool. I like that. And I want to let him know. I once had someone comment on one of my photos, like found your art page, went through all of your art. Everything feels like a new friend to me. Like I love the style, I love the creation, and that was like very, very touching and as well, and like kind of warmed my heart a little bit for someone to look at something I created and have that kind of emotional
Yeah.
response to it. So yeah, it makes me happy to be able to possibly make somebody else happy with just like posting something every now and then whenever I can.
No, I think that's a good way of looking at it as well. Like by posting, like we're constantly surrounded by social media, and there's a lot of good things and there's a lot of bad things online. But there are loads of good things which you may not even intend for that, but someone is affected by your work, and people. I'm sure people have been, as I have myself, and it can affect people in different ways. I think just the medium of having social media so accessible for us to access and use is just a great way of like essentially like expanding your horizons and connecting with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of with what you treat your podcast as, like we talked about this during the creation of the new logo. Fun fact, I made the new logo for Creative Conversation Podcasts.
I do have questions
But
on that as well
you
later.
but you were saying that this is kind of like an archive of really cool, fun, interesting moments that you've been able to both create and share. And that is, like, to a certain extent, kind of what I guess I'm doing as well. Is like, you can even from like my very first posts that I've made, you can see a very clear progression in both like quality and creativity, I feel, at least in my opinion. So that's cool to see, like the history of it all,
Yeah,
you know.
no, I agree. And what kind of things what like motivates you in within your space? Like what kind of keeps you going to continue to like create?
That's such a good question.
You're not the first person to say that to me.
I don't know, honestly. I think I just have this need to create stuff. Um, I feel like I would explode if I wasn't like constantly doing something and thinking, because I don't really stop thinking. My mind runs all over the place. So I think art is also something incredibly therapeutic to me as well. So to be able to like put everything that's insane in my brain down somewhere and just get it out, it's that's also very nice as well. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just have this need to create and do stuff, and when the feeling comes up and like the inspiration hits, then that's when it happens. I also don't force it. I don't like to force it, and even if I feel like drawing, if I don't have a clear idea, I know what I make probably won't be amazing, and it's just going to end up in the folder of unfinished art that I have and is currently piling up. Yeah, I just when it hits, and that's great. And hopefully I can make something cool.
I'd also say, like, I wanted to ask you, like, how has your like family like helped to like support your motivations within this? And because for example, like my parents have like a whole creative arts background, so like that helped me to like pursue certain things I wanted to do within the creative arts. So I just wondered, like, maybe your family or your siblings or etc. Like, how had they impacted you or helped you like help to establish yourself or giving you ideas, that kind of thing?
Yeah, everyone in my family has been very supportive in what I do. They all believe that they don't discourage me at all in doing what I'm doing. Like they want me to be able to succeed and do something bigger and better with my art than just like making them and posting them. They think I have something like really cool. They support it. They just think I'm talented and they want to see me do more and hopefully succeed with that. Um,
And what does that mean for you to have that support in place?
it's nice to have like that group of people, that support system that sees probably more potential than you see in yourself. So yeah, it's nice to have people behind you saying you're doing good, you are talented, you have something special. Yeah, it's good. It's nice to have the
Yeah.
support. Honestly, it's reassuring.
And I would say, like, as an illustrator, for me anyway, you have a unique way of storytelling through visuals. So I was just wondering if you could like describe your creative process when you are like creating a new piece of art.
My process can be a little weird, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But as of recently, I have actually been trying to be a little more creative, and like I said, I draw when and make and create whenever the inspiration hits. But then that is true. That is still true. But I've kind of been trying to flick that switch a little more, and like kind of do it more purposefully. So I've been looking at a lot of art prompts, and just I read lists of them, and if there's something that if I read the prompt and there's something that comes up in my mind that I feel like I can work with and like make really cool and elaborate on, then yeah, I've been able to do that with the most recent thing I actually just posted. The prompt was Blood Witch, and I was able to, I think, create something really, really cool from that. So recently, I've been trying to be more creative on purpose rather than just getting a random thought at a random point in time of the day and hoping that something comes from that.
Yeah,
But
because I know I was going to say I know recently because you mentioned it like a few days ago, um, which is something that just for people like listeners, just so you know as well. So like when and this will come later, but like when me and Adam worked together on the logo, before that, I had commissioned Adam to do some other stuff for me. One, it was essentially creating some emotes because you had done that for other people within the like streaming community, um, and I'm a strong believer of when you commission someone, you essentially pay them for that period, the time that they've worked on the thing that they've been making for you. Um, I'm not a fan of doing. I don't like doing stuff for free or like or not. I like to credit the person who's like doing something for me. Um, and I know recently you mentioned that you had some more commissions which you were very quite excited about and you were like working through. So like how has that been for you to have like and like how did that kind of happen as well?
honestly, it's still people within our streaming community. So it's not like some
Yeah,
strangers hit me up and wanted some work from me. I'm still doing it for friends, but they are also paying me. So yeah, and also like one I gave like a very I would say a pretty fair price, which they were completely comfortable with. The other person I gave what I thought was a fair price, and they sent me more because just like you, they want to give credit to the creator and their their abilities.
because I know like in previous episodes we've spoken about setting a price for your work and for your time, and if it's hard if you haven't done that before, um, and it's not something I've done before, but having I'm sure like you may have come across this when you studied photography like me, so I kind of learned a bit of it through studying about pricing and commissioning yourself, like not yourself, like working with people and like collaborative projects and that kind of stuff. So, like actually, like setting a price for yourself is actually quite difficult.
It is difficult because like you as the artist you see different values in your art than other people do. Maybe you see it more, maybe you see it less. So that's also why I've been pretty fortunate to be able to work with just friends within this community because those aren't people who are going to screw me over or be super demanding about things. So that's also something I'm really happy about. Like that, I love doing things and working with friends.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, like it's nice to have. I think like having friends is majorly important. Um, to have that one to have that support system, two to have people you can go to, but like especially when often your friends are your first. I don't want to say customers, but like for example, when I first started doing podcasting, I interviewed a series of people, friends I already knew, because at the time that was easier for me to do that before actually like reaching out to people. But like, I'm really happy to hear that like your work is being valued, whether it's through people using your services or how they're paying you, etc. I think that's this it's really good that that's like happening for you at the moment. Because it's a new thing for you. And I don't know. I think it's just good because I've
Yeah, no, it's great. It's awesome. At the end of the day, I just want to make things for people and have them be happy with it. So that's that's great for me. I'm always happy to try and make somebody else happy.
talk us through in terms of studying photography. Like initially, why did you decide to go down that path? And kind of just talk about like your experiences while studying because that's another thing that like myself and Adam have in common, which I mentioned earlier. I'm not actively doing photography myself now, but you learn quite a lot on the course when you study. So yeah, just talk about your experiences.
Yeah, well, so in high school, I was a massive drama theater nerd. I took the drama class like every single year that I could, but also I took every single art class that I could as well. Like I was loading up on all of the creative classes that I could. But like drama and theater and like drama club as well, those were the main things that I really loved doing when I was in high school. Even though I loved drawing as well and I loved art. But I wanted I wanted to work in theater. That's what I wanted to do with my life, whether it was on stage or backstage or anything related to theater or Broadway or anything, right? My my parents were not super supportive in that, and they were like, "Sorry, we don't see the money in that industry, and we want you to enter something that you can make money in." So they shot that down because my parents were paying for my schooling. So they had a say, I guess. I guess they had a say, but yeah, they shot that down. So also in high school, I took a photography class. That wasn't digital photography like how I did in university. That was film photography, which was actually really, really cool. I actually really like film photography and the whole process of that because we would do our photo assignments, whatever they were, just practicing different photo techniques, like different different focuses. What is it? Shallow and like the shallow depth of field and like whatever. I don't know. I'm totally blanking on it right now, but yeah, but yeah, just different projects to practice different techniques. And then we would take that film. We would go through the whole process. It was very cool. So we would take out the film in a dark bag and try our best to bring that into the little film canister that you would, and then we would take those negatives and and then those would get transferred onto the photo paper with exposure, and then we would put that through all the chemicals and let that dry, and the photo would appear. So that's actually kind of technically how I first learned photography was with film, and I thought this is cool. Photography is important and it's used in a lot of different areas and a lot of different workspaces. So and and it's fun and I enjoy it and I'm kind of good at it as well. So maybe there's something we can build on here. So that's when I settled on doing something with photography and I applied to a bunch of places for either photography or media, just in general, and that's ultimately what I ended up going to university for. I took a program called media studies, and that the school I went to was kind of like the love child of a university and a college. So at the end of your 4 years, you would get both a degree and diploma
Yeah.
in the field of your choice. So that was also something that was like pretty attractive to me as a school is I can walk out with two certificates. So I ended up going there, and my first 2 years of that school was just all theory work. It was a lot of textbook presentations, essays, exams, stuff like that. Except for one class. We took a film studies class, and all we did in that class was watch movies and then talk about them later. That class was dope. I would go back just for that class. Um, but that was the first 2 years. And then my next 2 years, you choose a specialization. So something to focus on. So there was web design, uh, digital design, um, visual communications, which is what I ended
Hmm.
up taking. That was photo and video. There's PR, and I think they also had media business going on as well, so that you could focus on that. So those were like five core branches that you could focus on, and I chose photo and video. And that's when like the college part of my schooling like came in, because that was all hands-on work. That was all photography projects and film and documentary projects, and that's just how I got into actually creating things more and more through like photo and video.
I was going to say, in terms of those who haven't studied photography before, it's not just standard. You're on the course and you're taking photos. There's you explore a lot, and it's just all different mediums of essentially capturing information. Photography is great. It's a great medium. It's a great way of expressing yourself. And even going back to when you're talking about film, I love film as well. Just that whole process is like so. It's just so like, I don't know. It gives the photos you're producing. Not to say digital doesn't do that, but I prefer film. But like, it gives the photos that you're like creating more purpose, because you've gone through that struggle of having to like go through the developing process, and sometimes your photos might come out wrong, or like you might leave it in the chemical for too long, or it gets exposed to light, that kind of thing. It's just like a playground essentially, and like mistakes within that made to happen, but you kind of learn from that. So I'm kind of glad that like continue, or motivated you to continue creating work post studying it. One thing I wanted to ask you, based on what you said, in terms of the having a passion for like acting and performing in drama, is that something that you feel that you would go back into, or was that like is that like a lost thing for you now?
I don't know if I ever see myself being on stage. I I still kind of have like a small dream of creating skits. And because I also on YouTube, I grew up watching a lot of creators who made skits, just like funny scenarios that they wrote, scripted, and filmed and edited themselves and posted that. And those a lot of people are really creative, and I still want to create content like that to a certain extent, because I do have a lot of what I think are funny ideas for skits. I actually even once wrote out like a proper script for an idea that I had. So yeah, I would I would never be on stage, but I would love to both write and possibly act in
Yeah,
my own skits that I create.
and I guess I asked you that because I was, even though at the time I guess your parents had to say in like what they wanted you to do over like what I guess you wanted to do at that point. I wonder if I asked because I wondered if, just to see how whether you if that's something you still think about. But in terms of skits, that's cool, and also like writing your own comedic scripts. Um, Funny enough, like one of our other friends, who I recently introduced you to, he also does script writing. I would say, a possible collaboration there. But yeah, I find it interesting because me and this other friend who Adam also knows, we both like grew up doing acting together, and for me that's because I'm now in podcasting. I went from like doing acting to photography, now doing podcasting. I've recently said to him that I would like to go back, because it's such a fun, it's so fun. I just love it, and it was a good way at the time for me to express myself. Because I wasn't great academically, having that kind of platform and space to like kind of be myself was like one of my main motivations when I was younger. So
Yeah, it's the same for me as well. I was not motivated at all academically, and my teachers knew that as well. Honestly, I would show up for class for attendance and ask to go to the washroom, and I would just peace out for the entire class and hang out in the drama room with my drama teacher because she was also kind of my mentor, I guess you could say, throughout high school. I probably would have turned out much differently than I am if it wasn't for, I guess, her guidance in showing me like how crappy the world is and how you can be a better person in it. So I would just go hang out there because that was kind of like the drama room was my safe space. Even if she was like teaching a class, I would just hang out there. So yeah, I'm absolutely with you. I'm the exact same way. I was not good in other classes. I still passed and I still was able to graduate properly. I never let my grades slip at all. I was just never
have
motivated to be
since
there.
since you're since like graduating, studying photography, have you like created any, or do you still take photos now post studying?
Nothing creatively, only maybe when I travel, I'll take my camera and document all the cool places and sights and views and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say I do anything creatively right now. My job is photography, so it's school photography actually. So throughout my week, I really get enough of that to be happy with because I also have other hobbies and passions and things that make me happy. So photography right now is my job. Frankly, I am trying to leave the company, but right now it is my job and I have other things that make me happy where I can be creative in them as well. So I don't really do anything very
And neither
creative with
do I.
photography at the moment.
So that's valid and that's fine. One thing I wanted to ask you is, like, as a friend, what qualities do you most value in your relationships?
I don't really ask for very much, to be honest. If we can get a little sad for a
Let's do it.
moment. um, I don't know, I've had a lot of friendships growing up where I called that person my best friend, but just over time, groups fizzled out. People found other people that they wanted to spend more time with and be with more. And then there's kind of just me there in between everything. Honestly, the friends that I have right now, I have them in my life because they just accept me. And that's really all I require from a friendship is just someone who looks at the things I do or the things that I say or the person that I am and they're still okay with that. Yeah, cuz me and my best friend, we are basically polar opposites when it comes to our interests. He is incredibly different from me. He is all sports um and like Call of Duty and shooter games. I'm all cartoons and anime and like fantasy RPGs, right? uh but we get along and because we just enjoy each other's time and each other's presence and as I said before, he accepts me and that's what's most
That's
important to
all
me.
you really want. That's all anyone really wants, to be accepted. But unfortunately, we live in times where that is difficult for a number of reasons, without being too political. Um, but things are changing, and that's the positive thing I'd like to talk about. Like, things are changing, and we are progressing as a society, and we're excelling in different regions. And I think like looking back on that, that's quite an amazing thing because things haven't always been like that, and the arts are doing better than they would. For example, I did my dissertation in photography about like how photography is like perceived within the education system, and often the arts is looked down upon, which annoys me. And I've read like countless articles about people saying how the arts is just not needed, and but in reality, like most of our media, most of our the things we see and hear, and it's all creative based. Like that's the world at the moment, and I think it's important we want to accept that and as well as embrace that, because that's we are excelling digitally in the world at the moment, and we need to support content creators essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to think that as a society, overall, we are getting to a place of acceptance where love and kindness is like more important than getting ahead and being better than other people. So that is nice. I hope that progresses and
Yeah, no, I agree.
just keeps getting better.
Moving on to the creation of the new podcast logo, which Adam did create for the launch of season 2. I wanted to go into that a bit and talk about the process from both, I guess, my perspective and Adam's perspective, and as like a unit creating it together. One of the reasons why I decided to change the logo itself was because there was nothing wrong with the old logo. It's not that I didn't like it, but I wanted to essentially capture the initial my initial idea for wanting to create the podcast in the first place, and I wanted that to be seen through, or like within my logo, because for me that's like a huge part of why I continue to do this. And the idea was to my initial idea to create the podcast was because I wanted to like capture and document these like amazing conversations I'm having with these individuals, and then years to come I can look back on it. So like the idea of having the time capsule with and all the stuff within that represents that, um, and like being able to like the idea was like you dig it up in years to come and you have all this like knowledge and creativity within it. Um,
Yeah, when you came to me, it didn't really come as a surprise. I was more just like I wasn't like I wasn't like expecting it, but I also wasn't surprised. I was just really happy and excited that you did come to me and wanted to work with me. And yeah, I was just really excited to be able to do something with you. That's all it really was.
because my reasoning for coming to you directly as well was I in that I had known you at that point for about, let's say, 9 months. Um, the way I met you was like, for me that was quite a big thing, because that was the first time I had like properly interacted with people using Twitch like in that way. And I came to you as well because I already knew about your work, and I was following you on Instagram at the time, and I didn't want to just go to someone on like Fiverr or Etsy. There's like a for me there's especially if I'm working with someone on something, I need to like it's more comfortable for me to work with someone I know, because that adds a lot of value to when describing what I would like them to create or what I would like us to like work on. So I feel like you were able to like quite easily understand the idea I was like visualizing in my mind. Because I also, just to say, I don't have the artistic talent here. Adam does, so I needed someone who was able to like translate that. In terms of projects, where did you once I had given you like the pitch? What did you do from there?
I also just want to quickly say it was very fun and easy working with you, because even prior to you asking me to do the logo, we had already kind of been talking and interacting with each other and getting to know each other a bit more. And I even think we had a voice call before all of this even started where we were just like talking. So you and I had already kind of developed a certain level of friendship and trust at that point. So yeah, it was nice to be able to work with someone who I both trust and like you trust me. So that was really really great to start off with. Well, you and I had another voice call where we were like talking and brainstorming, and you had described your podcast as an archive of the cool interactions and conversations that you've been able to have with everyone you've been able to meet. So that sort of sparked the idea in my mind of, okay, what can we do with an archive? Um, and then that's kind of how I landed on a time capsule, because it's literally what a time capsule is used for. You put treasured memories, important things to you in the time capsule, and you stick it in the ground for X amount of time. And then years later, you dig it up and you're able to see the person you were, or maybe even like the person you still are. So that's kind of how that idea came forward, was from your description of what you're ultimately trying to make your podcast.
Because we had a lot of we had several calls,
Yeah, we did.
and each call was like kind of, I guess, specific to like a certain thing. So we had like a call, the initial call about the idea, and brainstorming using the concept and using Adam's like amazing mind through the birth of the creation of the time capsule. So then from I remember, you went away and you did a few. I think you did three drafts of the initial sketch, and that was before text.
Yeah, that was all before the title. So yeah, I drew I think four different versions for nothing was set in stone. It was just four things that I had come up with. If you wanted to take away something from one and add it onto another because you liked how that worked, that's why I gave you so many options, because I also had so many ideas to work with as well. But yeah, you ultimately landed on the design that you liked the most, and
Yeah, and then we went into so the next hurdle after that was the essentially the color scheme, and because we had to work out color of text, color of background. Also, like one of the things I wanted to capture within Time Capsule was like an explosion of creativity, and that is like translated through like the explosion of energy, um, like coming out of like the time capsule itself. So that's something I wanted to explore. And I also got that essentially there's another logo, from popular YouTube channel Good Mythical Morning, and their logo design I really liked, and I had a wonder at other logo designs to gather inspiration of like actually how I wanted this thing to look. Um, but yeah, in terms of like the color scheme, we decided on like particular colors. Um, One thing I love, which you incorporated, was the like we did the rustic on the time capsule.
oh yeah, like the corrosion.
Yeah, and that within itself just represents like time of like how long it's been in the ground for, like how long it's been tucked away before being like finally like discovered. But in terms of inside the capsule, I really loved like the attention to detail that you put within the time capsule.
Yeah, exactly. So I pretty much just went through your season one and saw all the different people that you had had conversations with. So there's art, there was photography, journalism, a lot of music. So I tried to incorporate like cassette tapes and a vinyl record as well, because I also know that you personally collect those types of things and enjoy those things too. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to take the abundance of season one and put that in the time capsule as kind of a way to already say like this is what you've done and here it is in the archive.
Because you also put something else in there, which I kind of
Yes, well, that was your request. You wanted me to put something that was sort of personal to me as the creator of the logo. So my logo as Mindslime is, I guess, like just a little floating slime character that I drew up, and so I put that little guy kind of peeking behind the newspaper in the time capsule. So I guess it's both kind of I guess you could say like it's a signature that I put on there, but also a little foreshadowing, perhaps,
yeah.
because here I am now.
And also I can't even remember, but I'm pretty sure I asked to interview you. I think after we had done you had worked on the logo, um, and I was thinking about it while we were like working on it. And I was waiting. I guess I was just waiting for a good opportunity to ask you because I wanted to like, as I've said before, I hadn't done anything like that before I hadn't collaborated in that way before. It was for my first like collaboration in that way. It was a very enjoyable process. It was very like flexible. It was transparent. There's a lot of transparency. There was no pressure. It wasn't. I didn't. As I said to you, as I had said to you when we were having calls, I didn't want it to be like, oh, I have the idea and I'm just telling you what I want, and then there's no like collaboration element of it. I wanted you to like be able to like talk about ideas that you had because it is is a collaborative thing. And that also like translate through like the whole podcast itself being a collaborative project rather than being like my show, because that's not the message I'm trying to convey. Have said it so many times to you, but I just loved working with you. It was like amazing.
Yeah, I honestly really loved the process as well, and I loved how extremely collaborative it was. And it was a long process. I remember throwing a lot at you at once, like all these different versions, like with the text. I threw different texts and fonts at you. I even drew up my own font, which that's what we ended up using in the end. And then once we came up with that, I was like, okay, do you want it left aligned, center, or right aligned? So I sent you all those versions. And then when we were deciding with color, I sent you a silver version and a bronze version of the time capsule, and like we chose between that.
There's a lot of decision making on my end, and it was
Yeah.
what I would say one of the hardest things to decide on in during that process was where the text goes. Because Adam had sent me, as he mentioned, like he sent me three drafts of like text being centered to the left and to the right above the time capsule, and it was me, Adam, and one of my other friends, and it was so hard. We were like, I kept on going through them, being like, oh, actually, I like the one on the right, but then actually the centered one is actually pretty good. But then essentially what we decided on is to go for the one where the text is like shifted to the right, because I'm into like, I guess, like abstraction, and like for me the logo, like, it's very abstract. Like I like it because there's a combination of like stuff being really detailed, and then like the explosion part is like really abstract and it's very colorful, and then the text is like slightly off, but like I like that style. But like I'm amazed that you were able to come up with, because it was so good at it. When you showed me the final thing, I was like, I was blown. I just didn't know what, because I didn't. It was just amazing because I all this stuff I had envisioned. I pictured it to be like,
I'm honestly really happy for that, because also during the process, and also this happens quite often with anything I draw, really. I like the sketch that I do. The sketch looks really good. I put the actual line art into it, and I'm like, okay, cool, we were getting somewhere. I put the colors that I want into it, and it looks completely flat. And then that's kind of when a little bit of imposter syndrome sets in, because then I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I spent so much time here. It looks like this. And this is all before the details that I put in, like highlights and shadows and certain little other things that will actually really make it come to life. So I kind of had a little bit of that as well before I put all of those things I just mentioned in shadows, highlights, details. And I was like, what am I doing here?
Also, had you worked on something like that big before for that period of time? Because it was like maybe like I want to say it's maybe like 4 months, maybe longer.
Well, I mean, overall, I'm super happy with how it all turned out. I genuinely feel like your logo is still one of the best things I've created. Um, and it is definitely one of the first times that I've worked on something on this grand of a scale for so long. But that also came with me being really, really busy in my own personal life, which also very appreciative to have worked with you because you were incredibly understanding of that and were like sensitive to what I had to do in my personal life versus the time that I could spend on your logo. So thank you for that as well. So that was very nice that you were understanding of that. But I really just wanted to do a good job on it and just put everything that I possibly could creatively and quality wise. So that's also why it took so long because I wanted to give you the best possible outcome that I could have. And I guess that's also why I sent you so many versions because I wanted you to have your choice and your opinion on it as well. Like you said, it's not my thing that I'm creating for you. It's not you demanding something from me to an absolute T. It's us working together. So yeah, I just wanted to send you every possible thing that I could and have you have the best possible final product.
And I had no doubts in my mind. I knew whatever the final product would be, the final outcome would be, it would be. I would love it. I never there was never a point where I was like, oh, you know, he might create something crap that I don't like or like didn't envision at all. I didn't have any expectation when working with you, and I think that was important for me because I guess like I didn't want to be in control. Basically, it was because you're the artist, and I wanted you to let loose and go free with it, with input.
Of
um,
course.
it's just like even how we met Adam um, was I find it funny because it was like random and it wasn't like you just it was just by coincidence. Which I will go into because this is a part of me which people I don't often speak about, like the whole streaming element thing on Twitch and gaming, and I haven't spoken about that on podcasts before.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Our meeting was very random, but I don't know. The progression was very organic. I would say it was just a very very easy friendship to form.
And that's so going into like I guess the Twitch element of it. I've been streaming for I don't know since like April last year, um, and I started doing it because I wanted to continue. I like content creation anyway, and I wanted to I like gaming as well a lot. So I thought combine those things together. Twitch kind of, and some of my other friends were doing it kind of beforehand anyway, so like that kind of motivated me to do that. Um, but going into it, I wanted to ask you, Adam, uh, how do you navigate the balance between creating content that reflects your personal vision and meeting the expectations or preferences of your audience?
At this point, I've learned to just be myself and be happy with that. When I first started out on Twitch, I really feel like I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. I wasn't trying to be like the best gamer in the world, and like have that kind of attitude and personality. I was more just trying to keep it like more wholesome than I do now. I think I still keep it pretty wholesome, but I still feel like I'm more myself. And I just wasn't really I wasn't really me. So I sort of had a bit of a personality change in the way that I act and interact. And that has brought me to a place where I feel more myself when I am on stream and interacting with people. And thankfully and fortunately, I've been able to kind of develop an audience of people who like that side of me and like the person that I am when I'm streaming. Because I don't think I'm super different when I do stream. It's me. It's just a little more animated, I would say. So I to a certain extent I am still, I guess, putting on some kind of a character, but it's just me, but more so. And to have that community of people who are like, yeah, I like that guy. He's a cool guy. He's nice or he's funny. That's all I'm really trying to achieve is just being myself and people being happy with that. And that's also all I really ask from anybody else as well who is in my community or talks in my chat. It's a safe space. You can be whoever you want to be as long as you're not hurting people. And that's also something I've learned as well is I can be who I want to be because it's not going to hurt someone. If someone doesn't like me, then they don't like me and it's really nobody's fault. We just don't necessarily vibe on that level and that's okay because I do with a lot of other people.
And I know you probably will share the same opinion of this, but Twitch is a most often lovely place to be. You meet so many people in the most organic ways possible, and it's all through the medium of gaming or art or you know sharing information, podcasting, politics. It's like it's a massive platform. Um, it's like if we go back to when, like, what was your initial journey into live streaming on Twitch, and like what initially inspired you to like start doing that?
Well, growing up, this a lot of it comes from YouTube. Honestly, like a lot of my inspiration and passions and dreams, I feel come from the people who I grew up watching on YouTube. So a lot of let's play gamers on YouTube. I thought it was so cool to just play video games and have people watch you do it. And it was around it was around COVID as well where I got started. So I thought I have all this time and I got nothing to do with it. Let's give this a go. Um Also, I will say this is slightly petty, but the girl that I was dating at the time also got started with streaming as well, but she did it before me and that kind of lit the fire under my ass to get started as well because I really wanted to do it and then she was doing it. um and I was also, like, full honesty, jealous because she had better Wi-Fi. She was able to do a better setup with her streams as well to get them running properly. So she was able to have like a good setup right off the bat. I started sort of in a dumpster fire with very, very bad Wi-Fi, no possible means or equipment to actually stream video games. So I started streaming art from the iPad that I got. and that's kind of how I started on Twitch. I tried video games. I tried to like, I got the capture card. I spent the money for it. In the end, I wasn't able to use it because I didn't have the proper computer for it. Streams just were not running properly or good quality with both my Wi-Fi and the laptop I was using. So it just wasn't possible for me. Um, this is actually kind of a funny story. My very first test stream that I did to see if I was actually able to do it, it was a failure. But in that test stream, I got my first viewer and chatter ever. Um, and they, I still remember their name, but their comment was "show feet."
Nice.
That was my first ever viewer and chatter outside of the person who was monitoring my stream to see if it was working, like in general on their side. um and that's their first comment. That's the first comment I ever got from someone on what could arguably be the worst stream that I've ever done.
Because like because we're both in the same boat. You've been doing it longer. Like I wanted to talk about like starting off on Twitch. I guess if you it can be difficult, but depending on your circumstances. Starting off Twitch, if you don't know, I guess if you don't have friends who do it, or you don't know anyone on Twitch who streams, or you may watch people who are like really big. But like, was there ever a point where like you thought, maybe this isn't for me?
No, honestly, because I always enjoyed doing it. I maybe had a little bit of an ego deflation when I was trying to do it more consistently, and I still wasn't really getting anyone like hanging out or chatting. So that always, when you start off, it always kind of bothers you, but I don't know, you kind of just learn that it's not about that. If anyone is there, if there's any sort of number on your screen that can indicate a viewer, that's great, and there's someone there, and you should really just be kind of thankful and grateful that someone's taken the time to make sure that you're not alone. um but yeah, like the low numbers kind of don't make you feel great, but over time you definitely learn it's not that important. And as long as you're having fun with something, that's what's most important, because the moment you stop having fun, you should probably stop.
It's streaming is like the way I see it. It's a lot of it's based on how you're feeling. I've had bad streams where I've like not been feeling my best, and I've streamed anyway. And when I'm streaming, I like to one have the most energy I have, but also just be comfortable within myself. So like they both go hand in hand, and I think it you know you know that feeling, Adam, when you finish stream and you leave stream and it's like, oh, that was such a good stream. I really I had so much fun.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that feeling. Um, and that's what streaming should be about. You should always leave with that feeling. Um, in terms of like, I've watched countless hours of you playing games on Twitch. But I guess like what like genres of games do you typically stream on Twitch? And like, do you explore what games would you like to play moving forward in the future?
Well, I used to be a really really big Nintendo streamer, and I still am. I did a lot of Mario. I did a lot of Zelda. Um, that was sort of like my basics, but I don't know. I also love Kingdom Hearts. That's also one of my most favorite game franchises and series of games just in general because there's so many of them. Final Fantasy. I also just all of Square Enix really is super super cool to me. So those are, I guess, the main games that I really love. But I've completely fallen in love with the Souls games as well. Those games are so challenging, but interesting, both in like design wise and story. Whoever creates the stories for these games is brilliant, and it's so captivating. And the replayability just is so good because you learn even more in those games than in your initial first playthrough. So there's always something really cool and fun to come back to with the Souls games. I would really love to get back to Nintendo though at some point in time because I do feel like I've been playing a lot of really big games recently. Like just finished Elden Ring. I am in the middle of Spider-Man 2. Both of those are really big name games. So I really love to get back to my Nintendo, my bread and butter, and maybe do some like Mario 64. That would be really fun.
Yeah, because I was going to mention Elden Ring, which I witnessed. That was because you've been working on that for a long time, trying to have the race. Essentially, there's this boss, end boss in the game, and Adam had been trying to beat the boss for like the longest period of time, um, and he finally did it, and it was like a huge. I was sitting, I was in a call with one of our other streamer friends watching you like at the same like in real time. Um, and we were like so happy. Like I've never even played Elden Ring, and I was like so happy because I feel like I had been on that journey with you.
It really was a journey. It was so long in the making. Anyone listening to this is probably going to be like, it's a video game. And it is. It is a video game. But it still took a really long time. And it was a journey of character and self discovery because there was a time where I fell off of the game for months because I did not like the person I was becoming. So I had to take a step back. It stopped being fun. I had to take a step back. Um, yeah, I'm just happy it's over.
So I have two more questions in relation to Twitch, because I kind of want people because you've been doing it longer. So in terms of it's a kind of a two-part question, but in terms of your illustrations and drawings, how has that like been incorporated in your Twitch live streaming?
Yeah, well, I don't do it as often as I would like to, but I do sometimes do art on stream, and that's that's a really fun, nice time because it's just kind of me talking through a stream of consciousness and just kind of putting my random train of thought out there, and I like it. It's pretty therapeutic for me. Just hanging out, drawing, listening to some music, and putting my thoughts out there. And I've also been told by other people that when they do come to my art streams, it is also a therapeutic time for them as well because they enjoy looking at the art, the lines being made are it's satisfying for them to look at, I guess. The things that I talk about, I guess they find interesting or at least nice to listen to. I've been told sometimes people fall asleep to my voice during streams. That's a big compliment. That's
That's
a really
something.
big compliment that
That
someone
is
can
big.
just fall asleep to your voice because it puts them in like a state of zen and relaxation. I love that. So yeah, also having that reaction from people being like, I really love this. This is very relaxing and very chill. I like it here. That's also great that I both am in a good place mentally and I'm able to put other people there as well.
I can't wait for ASMR Adam.
Yeah, I get like the ear mic.
So finally, I wanted to ask you, like, what are your goals and aspirations for your Twitch channel? Like, what would you like to achieve? And it doesn't have to be like a huge goal, but if there's anything like you've made like a mental note for yourself, like, oh, I'd like to do this before this time, kind of thing.
I would like to put more work overall just into the quality of my streams, whether there's something like on screen that you see happen. Maybe someone says something in chat and there's some sort of reaction to it on the screen. I would love to get things set up for that, and also just ways to have more viewer interaction as well and get people more involved, I guess. Yeah, that would be really nice to be able to do. I also just want to, I don't know, hopefully I can just keep creating a bigger, better community of really cool people, because I think I've been really fortunate to be able to meet everyone who I have so far, and both help create and be a part of the group of people that we are. And yeah, I kind of just hope that gets bigger and better, and we can keep meeting some pretty cool people that we'll be able to call friends. Because like overall, I all I've ever done is, I don't know if this is gonna sound, I don't know if this sounds pretentious or not. All I've ever really done is what I wanted, and people hang around for that. And I'm super super fortunate that I can just pick a game because I feel like it, and there will be at least a few people who show up, whether to hang out with me or just show some support. So hopefully I can keep that up, and I can keep building and being better.
And I will witness that journey, because that's like some of the things I'd like to do myself, as well as just being within that creative space with you. We're all in this together. We're all doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
We're just doing it in different ways. Going back to like illustration as a whole, what advice would you give to like aspiring illustrators who are looking to pursue a career in the industry, kind of based on your experiences?
If you're just starting out with art and drawing and you want to get better, there is absolutely zero shame in copying someone and trying to imitate their art style because that's something that you like. Because I've found that through imitation, you can also find the things that you like best and add that to what your overall style will become. So it's okay to copy, it's okay to imitate. That's just how you learn. In terms of creation, it's very easy to get discouraged and to kind of lose your vision. That happens to me a lot. Honestly, it's part of my art process sometimes is me having an initial thought and vision, and when I start putting that down and trying to like visualize it and create it, I start thinking about something else because what I'm drawing ends up looking like not what I want to create. But then I build off of that because now I have this whole new idea. So it's also okay to just run with an idea as well. You don't have to stay on the same thought process that you had. Like, you can always change it. Art is flexible and fluid, and just let the end result be whatever it might be. You might start off with one idea and you will end up with a completely different product. So yeah, that's okay too. If your idea changes halfway through, just keep going, keep creating. If it's crap, then put it in a folder because you might need it later as well, and then start something new.
What are you currently? Is there anything that you're currently working on that you would like to share?
Well, currently I do have some commissions going on. I'm making some emotes for both Twitch friend and real life friend. I know her in real life. She's a very nice person. So I'm making her emotes and then also making a new profile picture for one of my friends, but he was initially first your friend. So that's also very exciting. He had like a really cool idea, but also kind of just gave me it like the idea he wanted, but now he's like just run wild with it. I like your art. I like your style. I trust that you'll come up with something really cool. This is just the one thing that I want. Everything else, just go for it. So yeah, those are two projects that I have going on right now. For myself, actually, this is kind of cool. So on the side, I'm learning embroidery. Uh, it's so dope, and I know it is. I know everyone who's gonna listen is gonna be like, "Damn, that's cool." But I am learning embroidery and software for that. So what I want to do as like testing, at least, I'm gonna take some past designs that I've made and try to create that into an embroidery file, and I'm gonna see how that looks on sweaters and stuff and things like that. And that could be something really cool. Because another thing that I kind of want to do in the future is maybe open up my own Mindslime shop. Not necessarily in relation to my streaming at all, but more for my art and creations. Like maybe I'll be selling prints, stickers or pins, and like my designs on clothing as well. That's another kind of passion project that I want to get off the ground at some point in time in my life, because I think I could take some of my designs and I think they'd be really cool if they were embroidered.
I think that's amazing, Adam. I think like even like you're having those like ideas of like what you want to do, what are the next steps? Because I guess as a creator, that's what you're constantly thinking about. Like, what can I do next? How can I expand my vision? How can I get more people involved? Um, and I think it's really nice to hear that you're those are the kind of things that you're planning on doing and currently working on. Um, I, I guess finally, because we've come to the end, where can our listeners connect with you online to see more of your illustrations, learn about your latest projects, and stay updated on your creative journey?
Well, if you would be so kind, you can check out my art on Mindslime Illustrations. I think that's still the name. I didn't change it yet. I'm thinking about changing the name to like just maybe Mindslime or Mindslime Draws or something like that, but I haven't gotten to it yet. It is still Mindslime Illustrations. So you can check out my art on Instagram. If again, if you would be so kind, I would very much appreciate it. If not, that's completely okay. You have your opinions and I respect you for that. If you want to check out my gaming content, it's just Mind Slime on Twitch, no capitals. Um, I stream whenever I feel like it and have the time. I don't have a schedule, so I can't really promise anything too grand for you. Like you can catch me maybe on the weekends. That's the best I can give you right now, until some more time opens up. But I mean, it's a fun time there. Always, we have good laughs, we have good times and conversations, and everybody is super super nice. So if you at all want to hang out with me and talk with me, we can also do that there, and I would be more than happy.
And I'll include for our listeners, I'll include all the links to Adam's, where you can find Adam in the description, and it'll be on Instagram as well when we do the post. But thank you, Adam. Thank you for like being part of I guess, the first episode of season two, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Um, I've enjoyed having like a deep dive into the world of Adam, and I hope that as listeners you found our conversation enlightening, as inspiring as I have. So yeah, thank you for being here, Adam. Much appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me here and giving me this super cool opportunity to both be interviewed by you and be able to work with you. So thank you as well. Super, super appreciative of you and just the person that you are, and happy to call you my friend.
That means a lot, Adam. Thank you. Thank you a lot. And I feel the same way. As we wrap up, I just want to leave our viewers with this thought. The importance of embracing failure is a stepping stone to success, whether it's stumbling in our creative endeavors or facing setbacks within our personal lives. Remember that failure is not the end, but a crucial part of the journey towards growth and achievement. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode and being part of this insightful creative conversation.